I know that there are many who came from my community that don't have the same advantages that I have now. And so for me, like to not take that for granted, I need to say thank you and sit in sort of a seat of gratitude. And that's where I sit. And it is a blessing to be able to give.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Class is in Session. I'm your host, Ashley Stevens, and this show on Black Enterprise highlights the latest happenings inside HBCU classrooms, public policies affecting higher education, and we also shine a light on leaders, students, and alum making major moves in business, the arts, and education. We also highlight topics in the business world that are educational to our audience, thus taking you to class. Excited today to highlight a woman of power in philanthropy. Alicia Wilson Esquire is making power moves in her corporate career while also infusing her passion of philanthropy, including in her own community. Baltimore Community Foundation recently announced that the Black Philanthropy Circle, of which Alicia Wilson is a co-founder, has reached $1 million in grants to nonprofit organizations that directly support Black people and communities in the Baltimore metro area. As the Vice President for Civic Engagement and Opportunity at Johns Hopkins University, she leads initiatives to foster community partnerships, economic growth, and civic engagement. In her prior corporate roles, she led institutional strategies on real estate investments, education, healthcare, and social impact. She secured hundreds of millions in financing to support communities and was named among the Power 50 Women of Influence by the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce. So today we'll discuss how this woman of power in philanthropy has made it her personal and professional mission to give back. Hello and welcome to Alicia Wilson.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely glad to have you. I know we have connected before at Black Enterprise, and that's because you have always been in the space of philanthropy and giving back and making major impact. So I'm really excited to dig deep to learn more about you and also how our audience can learn more about how they can make impact in their local communities as well. So Alicia, let's go back to the beginning. Tell us where you grew up and tell us about the value that was placed on giving back.
Yes, thank you so much. I am Baltimore born and raised. Grew up in Baltimore. My parents, would I say, would be the catalyst for really thinking about, I don't even think of it as sort of giving back, just like giving. I always tell this story. My mom used to have me pay the gas and electric along with that envelope that I would have to take to the check cashing place. She would also have an envelope where she'd be making a donation to St. Jude. And sort of in that sort of physical play, I got to see that even though we may be having to like pay the bill on the day it's due because of our finances, we still have the capacity to give. And so she taught me that giving is a habit. And I think that those early lessons have helped to sort of just frame my values, sort of how I think about like positioning myself in the world and my sort of passion for giving.
Got it. So your parents obviously were instrumental in that. And actually, this may tie into my next question because I'm curious to hear who are some of the major influences and influencers in your life and what did you learn from them?
Yeah, I have so many influencers in my life. Probably my first mentor was a woman named Laura Bird, who wasn't even my teacher in school, but really sort of picked me out of a class to go into a mentorship program, which literally changed the trajectory of my life. Individuals like Ava Elias Booker, she's a significant partner at McGuire Woods. She mentored me when I was 15 years old, starting really giving at a point in her life when really she should have really been focused maybe solely on her career, but really was thinking about the next generation of leaders. Jackie and Freeman Grabowski, again, met them when I was like 17 years old, just starting out in my career, thinking about who was I in this world. And so all the people that sort of I most admire in my life are givers. I think of like, you know, people like Judy Smith and Roz Brewer and so many others that are just pivotal, critical leaders in my life that demonstrate that we do well and we do get good at the same time.
Got it. You do well and you give good at the same time. That's incredibly important. Alicia, tell us where you attended college and law school and the type of law that you specialize in.
So I attended University of Maryland, Baltimore County, and then the University of Maryland Francis King Carey School of Law. In my practice, I did a wide variety of practice areas. I was a litigator, but I did everything from financial services litigation to high net worth family law to employment law, but really started to settle myself in my career in the areas of real estate, deal making, and advising individuals and corporations on how to really work through really what I would call sticky, icky issues and come out with a result where there was a win win or at least not a lose lose as a consequence of my involvement.
Got it. Got it. That's really important. Sounds like, again, you mentioned Baltimore is where you went undergrad. I mean, you have really been committed to staying in your community through and through. You really
Yeah.
have.
Yes. Baltimore's been good to me and I pray that I've been good to Baltimore. And so that's sort of like I feel like I've been blessed to be able to grow where I was planted, and Baltimore has been an amazing opportunity for me.
Love to hear it. And a lot of folks, should keep that mantra in mind to really grow where they're planted and think about reinvesting back into their own communities. So we're definitely going to continue to get into that. Alicia, you've made major power moves in philanthropy, both personally and professionally. So let's continue with your professional journey.
Mhm.
You served as Senior Vice President of Impact Investments and Senior Legal Counsel for the Port Covington Development Team. Tell us about that company and your role.
So the Port Covington development team at the time was embarking upon the largest urban redevelopment project in the country. And as a part of that project, I was given the responsibility of shepherding the public financing for the infrastructure of that project through a public process, which was a city council process, but also with the mind of the investors and the bondholders that ultimately we'd help to invest in the infrastructure for that project. In tandem with that, as a about 260-acre development project, I also shepherded and stewarded and negotiated, along with the TIF, the tax increment financing for that project, the community benefits agreement that was associated with that. And so, really had a chance to think about how does a real estate development, how does a corporation really uh, set up structures that inure to the benefit of the broader community.
Right.
And that was sort of my North Star. And thankfully, I was able to negotiate a $660 million tax increment financing for that project, but also be able to negotiate a $100 million community benefit for the local community as well as the city as a whole, which was really exciting and affirming and felt so fulfilling for me as a native daughter of Baltimore.
Wow. Listen, that is significant impact, Alicia. Congratulations to you
Thank you.
because, like you said, you were doing work for your job, but you were obviously benefiting by the hundreds of millions, your community. At that time, what drew you into doing work in social impact and urban revitalization? Because it sounds like it was more than just part of your job title and your duties. It sounds like you're truly drawn passionately and purposefully to this work.
Yes. So for me, I've always probably understood this, although I probably couldn't articulate it until much later in my career, that I understood that place mattered. It mattered what was in the built and physical environment. What were the amenities and all the resources that a community had that they could avail themselves of? Like what made people sticky to a community? What made a community vibrant? What made children, as they say, Johnny able to read? And Johnny able to go to college, or Johnny able to engage in a trade, and ultimately be able to be a contributor, a full contributor in society. And so for me, it was, many people say, like, Alicia, you work outside of your title a lot. Um, And that's because I think in some ways, like titles can confine us. The reality is that, like, my mission, my North Star, my purpose is to, I think, be a vessel through which good can come to my community. And that can take many different forms, but I have to always be conscious and focused on being that vessel. Like, so it's not about me, it's about like what can be done through me. What perspective do I bring because I love my community, I'm from my community, I'm unabashed about my journey to the point to sit at the table to be able to negotiate. And I bring all of that with me to try to make sure that the former Alicia, little Alicia, would be proud of the woman that I am, be proud of the deal that is being done, and proud of what's happening. And so, in that space, like I feel like many times, like a passenger or pilot on a plane, I go down with the plane, just like if the plane ascends, I go up with the plane. And so, I feel a real vested interest in making sure that the place I love, the community that I love, benefits from what I think is transformational investments that ultimately can be a tipping point for not just neighborhoods, but the city and the region.
Love that. Transformational investments and what work can be done through you. That's important. Wise words here from Alicia Wilson. She's a woman of power in philanthropy here at Class is in Session on Black Enterprise. Listen, Alicia, previously you were managing director and head of regional philanthropy for JP Morgan Chase, where you guided philanthropic strategies across more than 40 North American markets, including a 2 billion racial equity commitment. Tell us a little bit about the firm's work that you helped to steward at that time.
Yes, it was a privilege to work at JP Morgan and to be able to lead regional philanthropy for North America. Before going to JP Morgan, I had seen the country, but not through the lens of how to make philanthropic investments in places as far as Washington State and California, and as south as Texas and Louisiana and Florida, and seeing how do you engage in systems change philanthropy. So philanthropy that ultimately wears out the system that is holding someone back, whether it be a system that is preventing individuals from getting jobs, preventing individuals from accessing credit, preventing people from living in affordable housing and moving up a financial ladder, um, preventing people from gaining a good job, and not just a job, but a career. And so that sort of philanthropy is goes very deep at the root causes and looks upstream at what is causing the outcomes that we see manifested in communities. And so being able to work across 40 markets to see that while there are distinct differences from Chicago to Baltimore to Dallas to Seattle, there are also some ties that bond around things that we can do to actually move the needle, but not only move the needle, I'd say break the needle and be able to play a different song in those communities. So it's a blessing to get to see the country, be able to invest across the country in local communities with leaders who are doing really transformational work.
Got it. Well, you're certainly one of the leaders, perhaps leading the pack in terms of leaders who are doing transformational work. So that's exciting to hear. And obviously, now you're on your second stint in service with Johns Hopkins University. Tell us about your role previously and now, and about how economic impact and civic engagement tie into both roles.
No, absolutely. So, in my first, I would say, embarking upon my role at Johns Hopkins, I was able to lead economic development, which was a very new role at the university, which blended a number of different disciplines: real estate, investments, our workforce work, as well as all of our economic inclusion agenda. In my role now, leading civic engagement and opportunity, I get to impact all of those areas, but also think about really how do we as an institution become a partner with our local government, with our local community to solve problems, harnessing the academic acumen of our university. So I engage in a lot of tying our academic offerings with the community to solve problems. So many times, it could come from the government, could come from a community group, a problem could emerge. And what I get to do is be like a professional fixer, a professional problem solver, harnessing Hopkins to do that work. And then I get to work across many different disciplines and understand how to leverage healthcare, how to leverage engineering, all of our different schools to really inure to the benefit of Baltimore.
Got it. Again, ending with to the benefit of Baltimore. And that obviously is the common thread and through line for all the work that you've done. There still came back to be a local impact. And I want to share some exciting news that was recently announced. Baltimore County Foundation announced that the Black Philanthropy Circle, or BPC, has reached $1 million in grants to nonprofit organizations that directly support Black people and communities in the Baltimore metro area. And Alicia Wilson, as a co founder of BPC, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Congratulations. That's
Thank
a big
you.
deal. So I'd love for you to tell our audience here, where did the idea of BPC, the Black Philanthropy Circle, where did it come about and when was it founded?
It was founded in 2021, and it's all good ideas. They come across, uh, they originate with friends talking about how to do something at scale. One of my other co-founders, Savon Ferguson, and I have been friends for years. We're both lawyers. She's an executive at T. Rowe Price. I'm at Hopkins, and at the end of the year, we would pull our resources together. So we would say, what organizations are you going to give to? And I would tell her what organizations I'm going to give to. And so we'd say, you know what? Can we combine our money? So instead of giving 5,000 to one and 5,000 to another, why don't we combine and make that $10,000 so that they get a larger gift?
Hmm.
And this year, I guess the COVID bug hit us and we said, I think others would want to join with us. Like, it's no fun just doing this alone or the two of us. Why don't we invite others? And that caused us to really just set up a Zoom call and invite, I think it was 35 Black leaders, our friends from across Baltimore, to this concept of giving $10,000 collectively to a circle of giving and then deploying that to support Black led organizations and organizations that were impacting the Black community.
Hmm.
And, I remember Savon saying, "Alicia, how much money you think we gonna raise on this call?" And I'm a big dreamer. I have big vision. I said, "We're gonna raise 500,000." She was
Yeah.
like, "Okay, that 35 people on a phone call." And we got off the call and we raised 700,000. And that's
Wow.
when I knew and
Wow.
I believed and I was confident that we know, we know that Black people give more than uh any other community. We give in relative to our income more than anyone else.
Hmm.
We give when we have much, we give when we have little. And
Right.
so the power of giving as a collective, like we didn't know 2025 was going to, we'd be at this point now. Um, but being able to give and support in the way that we are, it's like a blessing. And most of our givers are under the age of 45. Most of our givers are first generation wealth. So they are the wealth earners in their the wage earners in their the highest wage earners in their family. But they all just care deeply about this community and not as individuals, but as a collective.
Got it. A collective. And so, what that's awesome to hear that you exceeded the goal. You're a dreamer, but you put it into reality. How many members are there in the Black Philanthropy Circle? And is there an annual individual or collective fundraising goal?
So there are about 60 individuals in the Black Philanthropy Circle, men and women. So we're almost even, men and women. Every year, members give $10,000 to be full circle members. We also have many people who may not be able to give at the $10,000 level, but they want to join alongside us. And so our youngest giver now is, I think she's 10 years old. She doesn't get she doesn't get her birthday gifts and she doesn't get her Christmas gifts. She asks for all that money to go to the Black Philanthropy Circle. Our
Wow.
oldest giver is probably 80, 88. He probably be, would say I'm not that old, but he is. And he gives as well. And then we have a number of people in between that give, they give varying amounts. $10,000 is the lowest, but many people give much more than the $10,000 floor.
How remarkable to know that a child and an elder,
Yep.
and obviously, middle-aged young adults, young professionals are all a part of this circle.
Yes.
What does that say to Black Americans who feel like, I don't have it, I don't know where to get started, I want to make a difference, but I don't have a lot? What would you say to folks who still want to make an impact and or contribute toward collective giving?
I would say, like, whether you are, well, one, I don't have $1 million to give. One day I will, but I don't have I can't write $1 million check right now. Um, but what I can is I can give $1 million if I lock arms with others who have the same passion, the same commitment. Um, I would say the people that, and we have all walks of life in this circle, giving at many different levels.
Mhm.
Um, the $10,000 marker was to say we can all give it a really significant amount. But there was a moment when I had $5 to give. And as my dad used to say, big things count, but little things mount. And so whether you can give at the $1 million level or you can give at the $5 level, little things mount, and it is a habit. And so the only reason why you don't think you're having impact is because you don't see the large ripple. When we work together as a collective, everyone who gives, Chloe, who is 10 years old, can say she's given $1 million.
Mhm.
The individual who is 88 can say, I've given $1 million. I can say we've given $1 million. It's not like it's we have given $1 million. And that's,
Mm.
I think it's really important that um, you think about how you give in tandem with others, how your amount plus theirs makes a big difference.
Your amount plus theirs makes a big difference. Listen, your dad was almost a famous rapper with big
I know.
things counting and little
Yes,
things mountain. Now
yes,
he
yes,
he need to put that on an album.
yes.
But but it's true. It's so true. It is absolutely true. Big things counting, little things mountain. That's incredibly encouraging to hear that the Black Philanthropy Circle welcomes, givers from different
Mhm.
stages and ages in life, as
Right.
well as different sizes and amounts of their gift, because it's making an impact, no matter what. What types of organizations does the Black Philanthropy Circle give to?
We have a wide range of organizations. We are a funder of the first Black Arts District in Maryland. So the Pennsylvania Avenue Black Arts District, which is where Cab Calloway and so many famous jazz musicians performed. It's being revitalized. We also give to Liberty Recreation Center that is working with young people and helping them really think about how to envision themselves as the leaders of tomorrow. We also work with organizations like Eastside Community Uplift. It's an organization that does uh, sort of sees individuals and meets them where they are. So maybe what you need is groceries, maybe what you need are coats. It really tailors that. And we have a wide variety. We have organizations focused on hunger, some focused on literacy. We work with Reading Partners, which is supporting young people before third grade reading. And we have individuals in the circle from all walks of life. So you see the nonprofit organizations that we support really touching on so many different aspects of need in our community.
Got it. That's important to touch on different aspects of need because needs are broad.
Yes.
And again, I love how everything you're doing is tying back to the very community that you were rooted in and have continued to grow and thrive in. So, as the BPC, do you all as a collective determine where the grants will be awarded? Or is there an application process where groups in the community can apply to receive funding from the BPC?
So both. We have an application process which we actually vetted with nonprofits before we released it the first time to say, is this onerous? Is this information that you don't have at your disposal? Because we know that everyone can't invest in the big glossy or the skilled grant writer. So we really want people to be able to access those funding. And then after individuals apply for the funding, Black Philanthropy Circle members then choose those grantees every year. And so we sit and we score and we make comments and we score every single application. And then ultimately, as a circle, we then vote on those that would receive money.
That's awesome. That's awesome that everyone has buy-in
Oh, yeah.
into who will ultimately receive some of those funds. Alicia Wilson, this has been super helpful for our audience to hear. But listen, there are folks who are watching right now
Mhm.
who have been impacted by job uncertainty, job shifts, whether on the federal side or even the private sector. What's your advice to folks who may say, because I'm dealing with my own uncertainty, I'm not sure if or when or how I even want to give? What's your advice to them?
Yeah, I mean, I would say to them, first of all, my heart goes out to everyone that is facing uncertainty at this time financially. And what I would say is, give what you can, right? I think, and give from the heart. I always think of the biblical parable of the widow's mite, which wouldn't have amounted to much in terms of cost, but certainly in value. And so, whether it's the rolled up quarters that you have under your bed that you've just been sitting on, or whether it is thinking about how can I, even when I have challenges, see sort of a bright light by being able to give, I think it will bring you joy. And I think it's not about the amount. I'm very we feel very blessed that we are able to give um at a significant level. But that wasn't my story every day before this day. And again, when I did not have, it brought me joy to give even in that moment. And it caused me not to focus on my challenges, but also like see that there are opportunities and there is another day and the sun will shine again. And I think you will feel good about continuing to be a part of your community in that way if you give.
Super wise words here from Alicia Wilson. Alicia, a lot of folks struggle with whether or not they can give, how much they can give. And really, they think once it leaves their hands and it impacts the communities, that's it. But are there tax benefits to philanthropic giving?
There are significant tax benefits to philanthropic giving. And I actually initially thought, once it leaves my hands, it's not going to come back to me. But we live in a country where philanthropy and the tax advantages of giving are significant. And so as you talk with your tax planner, your tax advisor, there's a point of giving that you would give up to where you will see a refund, um, sometimes, half of what you've given. Many times I've seen just almost half to two-thirds of the money that I've given out come back to me, that I can then reinvest again in my community. And so it's just about being thoughtful and planning in your tax preparation of how you do that and how you think about, when will you give, how do you give, and what intensity. And many times you don't think you can give that, but ultimately you end up paying taxes. You end up paying to Uncle Sam's. But I really try to utilize tax advising, tax planning to make it advantageous to give. And if it is beneficial. So if you don't think you can give, really talk to your accountant, to your tax preparer about how you can maximize your philanthropy to benefit your community and ultimately to be able to recycle that money back into your community again by giving.
Wise words again from Alicia Wilson. Alicia, lastly, what is most rewarding to you about the work that you do every day and have been doing for many years across your corporate career and your personal journey about civic engagement, community empowerment, and through philanthropy?
What probably brings me the greatest joy is that it is my way of saying thank you. And it's my way of expressing gratitude for all of those who invested in me, who poured resources in my community that I never will know the name of. It's my way of saying thank you to them that I am at this point. I know that there are many who came from my community that don't have the same advantages that I have now. And it's not because I was smarter or hardworking or any of those things. I was the beneficiary of a lot of blessings that hit me at the right time.
Mhm.
And so for me, like, to not take that for granted, to not take that journey for granted, I need to say thank you and sit in sort of a seat of gratitude. And that's where I sit. And that's, it is a blessing to be able to give, and to recognize, just how much has been given to me and how much that puts an onus on me to give to others.
Love that mantra, and you will be blessed because of that. So
Yeah.
keep up that spirit that you have to continually give back and to be grateful. And you are impacting so many lives, Alicia. I mean, in your community and beyond. So kudos to you. And I appreciate you being here for this conversation. Would love for you to tell our audience, where can folks find out more about the Black Philanthropy Circle and what you do?
You can uh, Google or search or Safari, Baltimore Community Foundation, Black Philanthropy Circle, and you can learn more about our givers. You can learn more about the organizations, that we are poised to give to and have given to, and you also can donate. And become a part of the circle. I know there are many people who may be in other parts of the country, but you can always give to Baltimore, and I would give to your community, yeah, if I could. I think we're more alike, and we're more together. We are better together.
Indeed, we are better together. Thank you so much, Alicia, for being here at Classes in Session.
Thank you. This has been an honor. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. We're excited to highlight Alicia Wilson, who again is a woman of power in philanthropy. And please let her example of all that she's doing and locking arms with others in her community, from a 10-year-old to an 88-year-old, be a reminder that no matter what age or stage you are in life, or even in your career, that there is still room for impact, no matter how big or how small. But collectively, that collective giving is what really makes an impact in your respective communities. So thanks again to our special guest for being with us, and thanks to each of you for watching. Be sure to share this episode with family and friends. Stay posted for the latest and greatest on Black Enterprise's social media channels and website at blackenterprise.com. For this episode of Class is in Session, I'm your host, Ashley Stevens, and class is dismissed. For more than 5 decades, we've had your back. Class is in Session, and Black Enterprise have everything you need to elevate your excellence.